Welcome and thanks for joining us at WYCC.org for In the Loop, the after show. Our guest today, Rui Kaneya, interim editor for the Chicago Reporter, Genevieve Thiers, founder of SitterCity.com, and political consultant Peter Cunningham. Thanks again for joining us. Now, national figures show that the real estate market is rebounding, but here in Chicago, a recent study found that more than a third of homeowners with a mortgage are underwater, meaning they owe more money than their home is worth. Why are we lagging behind here? What's going on in Chicago?
I think that, the prices were way overinflated, and they went up too fast. They went up too quickly. And yeah, at the same time, the economy tanked. And, we're not recovering as quickly. I don't think our economy fell as far as some places, but we're not recovering as fast as some areas. So I think that combination hurt us.
Yeah, this is kind of the topic of every dinner party, people talking about their property taxes and home values. Genevieve, are you seeing this in your neighborhood as well?
We're seeing it everywhere. I think the foreclosure process here in Illinois is just it's more difficult than it is in other states. And I know there's been some recent changes, but I think we need to work on that. That's part of the issue. But again, it comes down to jobs and just getting people employed again so that they can afford their mortgages. It's as simple as that.
One of the issues here, Rui, is that even if people have good jobs and have good credit, if their mortgage is underwater, if they owe more than the house is worth, they can't refinance and take advantage of these historically low interest rates.
Exactly, and most of the stuff is pretty much out of their control as well. Like you were just saying, the foreclosure rate, well, the number of foreclosures has been going down. That's the good news, but at the same time, it's still happening. And when you see places like in Inglewood, well, if you have whole kinds of vacant lots or abandoned houses around you, obviously your property value is going to go down. So it doesn't take that much of an expert to really figure out, okay, why is it that your home value is actually going down? Well, so probably we have to solve one way or the other the foreclosure crisis and probably the just general economy as well. And then maybe you get to the point where you can actually recover your home value, but it'll take a while probably.
I'm wondering too, if when you look at prices nationwide, in case Schiller does track the Standard & Poor's, Chicago basically hit bottom about a year ago this month, and we are about 2.25% above that margin right now as far as home prices go, but someplace like Phoenix is 23% higher. And I'm wondering, do you think the tax structure in Illinois and what's going on in the city plays into this at all in terms of having home values not rebound as quickly?
I certainly think it's a factor, but I think it really comes down to the economy. I think it's coming back to wages. When wages start coming back up and people start making a better living, they'll be able to afford more homes, and that's what drives the market. I think that wages have been flat in this country, and so that's one of the pillars of the middle class dream is a decent job and a good wage. And home is also one of the pillars of the middle class dream, and they're both at risk in this country. It's a real problem. We really have to do more for the middle class in America.
Yeah, I worry about inflation. I think in the next couple of weeks or months we're gonna wake up one morning and we're just going to see inflation shoot up, and that's going to be even harder. We may not have hit bottom here. We may still have a little bit further to go before we actually hit a rebound in the housing market. I can't predict the future, but I think that's a concern.
There are some encouraging signs. There's this new phenomenon called flash sales, where information goes out on these real estate websites, and then you have 24 hours to bid on a home. And it turns out Chicago is actually second to Phoenix, and then there's still, we're talking about a small amount, but that people have 24 hours, and as a business person, there's a certain
it's like Groupon for your house. It's great. I love it. Groupon for real estate. I thought of that one.
Is this a healthy trend? Does it lead to smart buying?
It depends on if you're the buyer or the seller.
Right.
It really worked for Groupon.
Next thing you know, you got a house that you didn't even realize you bought. So.
That's funny. I didn't even know they were doing that. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Well, whatever gets them sold, I guess. Wow.
But I can see that happening in certain parts of Chicago. But if you talk about South and West Side, I don't think it's more of you're probably sitting on your house, you're trying to sell for many months probably at this point. So that's kind of sort of the complete disconnect between what's really happening and supposedly the recovery that's happening, and also just certain neighborhoods of Chicago just kind of left behind.
Yeah. I think it comes back to the same thing we were saying before, which is that for you know, in the housing bubble, people thought that housing could drive an economy, and housing alone can't drive an economy. Housing almost reflects a positive economy, in my view. It's jobs that really drive an economy. When you have people with jobs, they can afford the housing, they can keep their head above water, et cetera. So the more we can get those jobs, and that's why that neighborhood investment that the mayor is talking about is a good idea, because as you said, the south and west side of Chicago, the only thing that's ever going to get them going again is if we can get some jobs there.
It's a domino effect both ways. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Rui Kaneya, Genevieve Thiers, and Peter Cunningham. Until next week, good night.